Hello and welcome to another episode of Handloader TV. As always, I'm your host, Jeremiah, and in this episode we're going to take another deep dive on the 22 Nosler cartridge and this rifle chambered in said cartridge. Now if you're watching this on YouTube, before you turn off or get in the comments section, because we just talked about the 22 Nosler fairly recently, there's some things that you guys are going to have in this video that weren't covered in that video, and there's also some commonality that is shared across other cartridges. So if you watch this video, you're going to pick up some stuff about how to tune a gas system on an AR. You're going to see some other powders and bullet combinations that would be good in similar sized cartridges, such as the 22 ARC or the 224 Valkyrie or even the 22 BR and things like that. So there is going to be some new information and some takeaways from this video. So with that said, now that we've prefaced this, I want to talk a little bit about this particular rifle and my experience with it. We were early adopters of the 22 Nosler. This is our 2017 Varmint Rifles and Cartridges magazine, where this rifle was featured on the cover there, and we had this particular rifle many months before this was even published, and the results of the tests were shared by a writer by the name of John Havlin in this magazine. And I've been shooting this rifle, hunting with this rifle, carrying this rifle since then. So this is a very long-term review. I have a lot of experience with the cartridge and a lot of experience with this rifle that I want to share with you guys. And that's kind of something different that we do here at Wolf Publications, Handloader Magazine, Rifle, Varmint Magazine, LoadData.com. When we test something, we do it in great detail. We're not getting a rifle a month or two before the release date and cramming in a bunch of content on it so that when the embargo ends, we drop a bunch of content on the rifle. We thoroughly test and evaluate everything that comes through the door, and this rifle was no exception, and I'm still using it to this very day. So that kind of goes to show you the lengths we go to test and evaluate products. And when we talk about them, we put our stamp of approval on them, and whether it's good or if it's bad, a lot of times it doesn't make the cut, or if we have issues, we'll share those with you. And that's what we're all about. So on that note, let's go ahead and take a little bit closer look at the rifle itself that we have before us on the table. So this rifle and cartridge combination, in a way, and I said this in the previous video, but it was kind of my gateway into high performance 22 caliber cartridges. And it really highlighted a need, or rather a want or desire there, to exceed the performance of your standard 223 Remington in an AR-15 platform, being held to that 2.260 inch cartridge overall length dimension. It's hard to squeeze much more performance when you're restricted at that length. So the 22 Nosler, all the way back in 2017, kind of acknowledged that. And now we have a lot of other cartridges that, quite frankly, are better suited, and they're highly refined at this point. But this is kind of the cartridge that kicked it off, and it was my gateway into that higher performance 22 cal cartridge realm. And I didn't really realize how much of a benefit it was until I started shooting prairie dogs and coyotes at distance. And this is my primary rifle to do so with. We had it early on. I've got tons of time behind it. So let's go ahead and walk you through this exact rifle. It's really a neat rifle. It was a collaboration between Nosler and Noveske Rifle Works. So that's really, really neat. It's engraved on the other side of the receiver there. The Varmageddon, which is play on words there with Nosler's ammunition, and then Noveske creating the rifle. So at the very back of the rifle here, we have a Magpul PRS Gen 3 stock. Very nice stock, lots of adjustment for length of pull and cheek weld. You can also attach a monopod on the back because there's a section of Picatinny rail there that you can add. I've removed it because I typically shoot off bags or a tripod or something like that, so it just kind of hangs up there. I don't need that extra snag point. But then moving along, the upper receiver and lower receiver are both Noveske Rifle Works, as well as the 15-inch handguard. That's a Noveske handguard on there. We have an ambidextrous charging handle here. ambidextrous short throw safety, and a Geisley, I believe this one is their Super Dynamic Enhanced, or SD-E trigger. It is a 2-stage trigger, and on the average of 5 pulls on a Wheeler Engineering digital trigger pull gauge, it broke clean and crisp at about 1 pound 1 ounce when you got through that first stage of the trigger, and the take up there getting past that first stage was right around 2.2 pounds, 2 ounces. It's really kind of hard to measure on the digital trigger pull gauges, but near as I could tell, that's what it came out to. We have an 18-inch 1-in-8 twist barrel with an adjustable gas block. That is one thing that I did aftermarket on this rifle. I did add a Superlative Arms adjustable gas block, and we'll get into the details on that in just a little bit. I've also added a Arca Swiss plate onto the bottom of this key mod rail, which is a little bit dated these days. You don't see that a whole lot, but back in 2017, key mod was still pretty popular, pretty cutting edge, and you still had a lot of major manufacturers using it. And then later on, there was a Nosler SR30 suppressor added to the end of this. I use it primarily, again, for calling coyotes. Having a can on the end of there is just really, really nice. I've got a Coltac suppressor cover on there, which in my opinion is one of the best suppressor covers you can buy. And then last but not least, to top it all off with optics and sighting systems, we have backup Magpul Embus sights on there, irons, flip up. And then mounted in Team Worn rings, I've got 2 offset Picatinny rails here, which I have a Vortex red dot mounted off to the side. If you've ever had a coyote come in screaming fast, going right towards that call, sometimes the red dot's nice to have there. I don't use it all that often, but when I need it, it's there and I appreciate it. And then for the optic, I have a Leupold Custom Shop in Flat Dark Earth. This is a VX3i LRP, 6.5 to 20 by 50 rear focal plane optic on there with a big Christmas tree reticle in there. Big fan of that optic, really like it. I do wish it was a little bit lighter. Overall, this build is rather heavy. Coming in, I want to say it's in the neighborhood of 10 or 11 pounds. Don't quote me on that. Should have weighed it before I got back here, but it's right around there. So it is a little bit heavy, but for coyote calling and making stands, it works really nicely. And then I have a PRI magazine. I'm a big fan of these. They work really, really well. Very reliable. And they actually have a dedicated 6.8 follower in there, which works really, really well with the 22 Nosler. So there's the details of the rifle. Now let's go ahead and really quick and kind of talk you through what we did to develop loads for this. If you've already watched our 22 Nosler bolt gun video, you kind of know where this is going, but we'll just walk you through it briefly. If you've watched our previous video on hand loading the 22 Nosler in a bolt action rifle, then you pretty much know exactly what we're going to do with this rifle. As in a matter of fact, we're using some of the same components, the same fresh Nosler brass, same bullets, same reloading dies, and even the same powders. So rather than show you step by step what I did to develop these loads, I'm going to refer you to that 22 Nosler bolt gun video. Watch that on YouTube and you can see exactly the same things we did to work up loads for this AR. There really was no difference whatsoever. Neck tension was more than sufficient, and in this particular rifle with a properly tuned gas system, there was even no need to apply a crimp to the cartridge either. So relatively simple and straightforward process, and I'd encourage you guys to check out that video if you want to know more about hand loading the 22 Nosler. Now, I was a relatively early adopter of the 22 Nosler, and as a result, there's been a lot of really great cartridges that have been introduced since 2017 when this made its debut. So, as a result, I was hands-on loading for this cartridge very early on, and I picked up a lot of tips and tricks to apply to similar size cartridges such as the 22 ARC. When that came out and Hornady released the 22 ARC, I was again a very early adopter of that, and I had a really good foundation because I already knew how to load the 22 Nosler, what bullets worked well, what powders worked well with said bullets, so on and so forth. So there's a lot of crossover when it comes to cartridges. So even if you don't necessarily reload for the cartridge we're talking about, you can still gain quite a bit of information based on the powders we're using, the burn rates they're in, and the weight and style of the projectiles we're using. So that can be very advantageous for somebody who really wants to learn and get better at working up their own loads. And it also is an advantage for those who are early adopters of new cartridges. Now, people will complain about cartridges and they're always introducing this and that, and some of them do flop and fail, and I won't name names, but there are a few more recent introductions that have flopped. But then there's also some that have really taken off and some that have refined existing designs, such as the 22 ARC. It really is a great gap filler between the 223 Remington and moving up in size and cartridges such as the 22 250, which will not function in your standard AR-15 magazine. So there you have it. When it comes to hand loading, the 22 Nosler is a very simple and straightforward operation. We selected all the components you see here on the bench to put together these loads, and these are the same load developments that were shot in the 22 Nosler bolt gun video. So you'll be able to compare velocities between a 24-inch 1-in-8 twist barrel and this 18 1-in-8 twist barrel that this AR-15 has. So there'll be a little bit of difference in velocity just because one's a bolt gun, one's a gas gun. That always changes things to some degree. But all in all, it's going to get you more than in the ballpark of what to expect with a given barrel length. Finally, before we move on, there's two more things I want to mention. Number one is the adjustable gas block. Keep in mind, as a hand loader, when you change powders, you're changing burn rate, and it may require some fine tuning of your gas block. So I've got a Superlative Arms click adjustable gas block in there. It's very easy. I can slip an Allen wrench in here and adjust it on the fly if need be when I'm doing my load development, and we'll see if we need to do that while we're working on it. But my best advice when it comes to tuning these rifles is to shut the gas completely off, load one round in the magazine, and continue to slowly open up that gas block, shoot one round until you achieve bolt lock back. Once you achieve bolt lock back, stop there, test it for a little while, let your rifle break in, because as that rifle wears, especially a brand new rifle, it's going to slick up just a little bit, and you might be getting just the right amount of gas by the time it slicks up afterwards. But from there, you can fine tune it for whatever powder or bullet combination you are using, because that can definitely have an effect on the function of the firearm. And also, it's a good idea to check your ejection pattern and make sure that the ejection pattern is nice at the about 230 position from the rifle. That's personally where I like to set mine, but tinker with it and have fun. And then last but not least, as always in all of our videos, we don't have time to show you every load that we work up for these rifles, so we show you the best results so you have an idea of what works well. If you want to see the good, the bad, and the ugly, go ahead and check out Handloader TV loads on our website, loaddata.com. Type that in, Handloader TV, and you'll be able to see all the loads that we tested in this particular rifle, this Noveske 22 Nosler, the good, the bad, the ugly. You'll see the group sizes, standard deviations, the powder we used. The only thing you won't see is the charge weight. We reserve that for subscribers, and it's a great way to support what we do here at Wolf Publications, Wolf Publishing Company, as well as Handloader TV. So thank you so much, and let's go ahead and take this rifle and our preloaded ammunition, and we'll hit the range. So as you can see, we're out here on the range now, and we've got a target down range at 100 yards as usual. Got a Garmin Zero C1 Pro chronograph to record all of our muzzle velocities. And we've got the Noveske Nosler Varmageddon AR-15 benched in here. And according to the Kestrel 5700, we've got a very light breeze of about 3 to 5 miles an hour coming from about the 4 o'clock position. That might get a little bit more this afternoon if the forecast is correct, up to about 10 miles an hour, but not too bad. The temperature is 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Humidity is 17.4%. And pressure when adjusted for elevation, which is 5,000 feet. Barometric pressure is 30.49 in Hg. So a very nice day. It's going to get a little bit warm. We'll be fighting a little bit of mirage, something to keep in mind as we're shooting for small groups with this rifle. But all in all, should be a good day at the range. So let's go ahead and get started with this rifle. So for this load, we're using Hodgdon CFE 223 powder, a 32.5 grain charge with a 55 grain Norma tip strike varmint bullet, Nosler cases, Federal 205M primers, and our overall loaded length is 2.255 inches. If I rattled that off too quick, don't worry, we're going to review all of these loads, including the data, at the end of this video, so be sure to stick around for that. For now, we're going to see how it does on the paper. So you guys can see we're not pulling any strings to get these good groups and numbers. So the next load that we want to showcase to you is using H4895 powder, a 26.5 grain charge with a 77 grain Berger OTM bullet, Nosler cases, Federal 205M primers, and our overall loaded length is 2.255 inches. Now, of course, we showcase the best loads here on video, but we do a lot of testing that's off camera. Just for time's sake, we can't show it in a video. So check on loaddata.com. Look up Handloader TV loads 22 Nosler in this rifle, and you're going to see that just about every group that this rifle shot with H4895 was pretty good for an AR-15. It's my favorite powder in this rifle. The velocities aren't as high as they could be, but it performs very well in the accuracy department. But I know what you're thinking. It's time to shut up and shoot. Yep, there's the load. Like it a lot. So next up in the queue, we're going to be using Shooter's World Precision Rifle powder, a 27 grain charge with a 75 grain Hornady boat tail hollow point bullet, Nosler cases, Federal 205M primers, and our overall loaded length is 2.260 inches. Max mag length for the AR, but we'll see what we can do here. Putting it to the test. I think we need to name this rifle the 4-in-1 because it puts 4 bullets in one hole with 1 flyer. Either way, doesn't look like a bad group through the scope. So rolling right along with our load development, we've swapped over to Alliant Reloader 15.5 TS powder, a 27.5 grain charge with an 85 grain Nosler RDF bullet, Federal 205M primers, and our overall loaded length is 2.260 inches. You know the drill, shoot them and group them. That looks pretty decent from where I sit. Not too shabby. So now we're switching over from hand loads to factory loaded ammunition. This is Nosler match grade 22 Nosler factory loaded ammunition using their 77 grain custom competition bullet. Let's go ahead and get in behind the gun and put this on paper and kind of see how it compares to our hand loads and how well it performs in this rifle. That doesn't look too bad from where I sit for factory ammunition, and very, very respectable velocity out of it as well. Very impressive. So as you can see, I'm back in the blue shirt. We're back at the bench now. We've got a bunch of results to go ahead and talk through. But before we do that, I want to let you guys know we're going to do something a little bit different at the end of this video if you stick around to the very end, because I don't have time to read and respond to every single comment you guys leave. We're going to pick a few comments that you guys have left from our previous videos, and we're going to read and respond to those at the end of this video. And if you guys like it, it's something that I want to add into every single one of our videos. So leave some comments, and good, bad, or ugly, we'll read through them and kind of talk about them at the very end of each of our videos. And it's a great way for me to interact with you guys and hear your thoughts and get your questions answered as well here on camera, because quite frankly, it takes me way too long to sit down at the computer and try and type them out. It's much better for me to be shooting and filming, and it's way easier for me to respond that way. So stick around till the end of this video and we'll dive into some of your questions and comments here on YouTube. Should be a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the loads, and as always, these will be posted up on our website, loaddata.com. Type in Handloader TV into the search bar and find the 22 Nosler loads in this Noveske AR-15, and you can see all the loads we tested for this load development. But for now, taking a look, starting out with the factory ammunition that we tested. This is Nosler match grade custom competition ammunition, 77 grains in weight for the bullet. And we got an average velocity of 3,003 feet per second and a group size of just 0.57 inches. Standard deviation was 13. So all in all, a very good and respectable load for factory ammunition. And that's about where this rifle kind of hovers, is right around that half MOA mark with a good load. And I've shot probably at this point several hundred rounds of Nosler custom competition factory loaded ammunition through this rifle, and that performance has been consistently around 3/4 of an inch or 3/4 of an MOA at 100 yards. So very good stuff from Nosler. Now, swapping over to the hand loading side of things, and this is where it gets really fun, and you guys can kind of compare and contrast barrel lengths if you watched our 22 Nosler bolt gun video. We started out with Hodgdon CFE 223 powder. This is a 32.5 grain charge. We got a standard deviation of 12, average velocity of 3,407 feet per second, and a group size of just 0.84 inches. So very, very good results there with that 55 grain Norma tip strike bullet. I'm a big fan of those and have taken a lot of coyotes with that bullet over the years. And it's a speed demon, and it works really well out of this 18-inch barrel. I'm losing roughly 200-ish feet per second compared to the 24-inch barrel, but it still performs very well in this AR. And having that second follow-up shot on coyote stands is very advantageous. The next load that we went ahead and put to the test is using Hodgdon H4895 powder with a 77 grain Berger OTM. This is a phenomenal bullet in any AR rifle. It really performs well, and this particular rifle is no exception. We get a standard deviation of 15 and a group size of 0.29 inches and an average velocity of 2,828 feet per second. And we have a little bit of wiggle room to play with this load, and across the board, out of all 5 charge weights we tested with this powder and bullet combination, they all performed very well in this rifle. So you can check out those results again on loaddata.com. Then we have swapped over to Shooter's World Precision Rifle Powder, a 27 grain charge with a 75 grain Hornady boat tail hollow point bullet. Now this is a match style bullet, but speaking from experience, I've taken a whole lot of coyotes with this bullet, and the terminal performance is very good. And more recently, this rifle was up in Wyoming on a prairie dog hunt, and it performed very well on prairie dogs as well. It's a relatively inexpensive bullet, and accuracy has always been there for me, as we can see from this 0.58 inch group on the target, standard deviation of 10 with an average velocity of about 2,800 feet per second, about 7 feet per second shy there on the average. So all in all, very good results, and it's a great economical option for those high volume shooters, and it can perform double duty on varmints and matches as well. And then last, but certainly not least, we tested Alliant Reloader 15.5 powder. This is a 27.5 grain charge with a standard deviation of 8, an extreme spread of 2810, an average velocity of 2810, standard deviation of 8, and a group size of just 0.45 inches. So very good results there with the 85 grain Nosler RDF bullet. And overall, it really goes to show you just how accurate this rifle is. On average, those groups are probably somewhere in the half MOA mark, which is very good. And at the time of this filming, I have approximately 3,500 rounds through this rifle and barrel. So barrel life is still very good. I see absolutely no degradation of accuracy at this point, and that is very impressive. So overall, I'm really pleased, and I'm looking forward to putting another 3,500 rounds on this rifle. So we'll go ahead and wrap up this video with some final thoughts, and then stick around to the end, and I'll read some of your guys' comments and respond to them. So as I always like to say and preface this portion of the video with, you've seen the results for yourself, you've seen the accuracy we've achieved, the loads we've used, the projectiles we've sent downrange through the paper. You can make an educated and informed decision about all the information and products we have presented to you in this video. It's very important to us that we showcase that in an unbiased and just the facts kind of way. But now I want to leave you with some final personal thoughts on the rifle combination itself. And in doing so, I've been working with this rifle for many years, since 2017, early 2017. And I've had a ton of time behind this rifle. And at the time, it was very cutting edge. I mean, it was on the bleeding edge of technology. Yeah, nowadays we look at it and say, yeah, the key mod rail is a little bit antiquated, and there's some things that have been improved upon from the rifle itself all the way up to the cartridge it's chambered in. We have 22 ARC now. We have M-LOK now, and things that are better, and you'll get no argument from me there. However, at the time, this rifle was very cutting edge, and I really enjoyed getting to work with it, and I learned a lot, most importantly, by working with this rifle, and it really set me up for success for future cartridges and rifle builds as well. And all in all, I still use this rifle quite a bit. Don't tell anybody, especially the coyotes, but they don't know the difference whether they're getting hit with the 22 Nosler or the 22 ARC. And I still use this rifle quite a bit, so don't tell them that it's an obsolete cartridge. But all in all, and in all seriousness, It does exceed the performance of 223 Remington, and it does so rather well and relatively easily. A simple barrel swap, and on an AR-15 some fine tuning to the gas system, and you're good to go, which I'm personally a big fan of. So we hope you enjoyed this video. We hope you like what you saw. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button as well as the bell icon so you're notified when we post our next video. And be sure to leave a comment, because up next we're going to take a few minutes and kind of relax a little bit, and I'm going to read some of the comments that you guys have posted on our recent videos and respond to them. So stick around for that. So thank you very much for sticking around this long. We're going to wind down this video with some comments, which I have pulled up here on my phone. I'm only going to read some of the more recent comments and what we have time for, and also only the comments that I haven't typed out a reply to. So let's go ahead and get started. And I apologize greatly in advance if I butcher some of your guys' YouTube handles. Some of them are kind of confusing, but let's go ahead and dive into it and see how I do here. So this is from Joseph Julian 2503 on our 22 Nosler and M48 Heritage video. That 22 Nosler bolt gun video I've referred to in this one. He says, that rifle shoots pretty good, but not so with a single factory load, but still pretty good. That's true, I agree. That rifle shoots very well for what it is, and you know, if I would have cherry-picked some factory loads, I probably could have got that group size down under an inch, but it kind of is what it is, and we show the results as we get them. So thank you very much, Joseph, for watching the video. We appreciate it. And on that same 22 Nosler video, Kingy 300 Weatherby says, very nice rifle, love the timber stock and the Leupold VX5 HD scope. Very classic setup. Those Nosler rifles are a solid setup. I like the fact that it has a 1 in 8 twist as well. Thanks for sharing it. Well, thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate all you guys who watch and leave comments, and I agree, it's a very good, solid rifle. So this is a continual fan here on YouTube. He watches a lot of our videos. Thank you very much for that. This is NM Elk Hunter 1, New Mexico Elk Hunter 1. He says, intriguing cartridge and really neat looking rifle. I would really like to have an M48 Heritage in 280 AI. Thank you for taking my suggestion and showing close-ups of the cartridge. I do have a bone to pick with you. You went to one of my favorite places, Wyoming, without me, and I'm not sure that's something I can look the other way on. Just kidding, Jeremiah. Thank you for another great video. Any luck on finding a 280 Remington to review? So a lot in that comment. You guys leave great, detailed, long comments. I love that. I really think we have some of the best comments on YouTube because you guys share really good information. I've seen you guys down there in the comments, in particular, New Mexico Elk Hunter 1, talking about his loads, the velocity he's getting, powder charge weights, and helping others in the comments. I really, really appreciate that. So thank you guys for all of you who leave those really good comments on our videos. So to answer you, New Mexico Elk Hunter, I agree with you on the M48 Heritage and 280 AI. We've had a Nosler M48 and 280 AI on this channel. It's not actually my rifle. It is my father's rifle, but it was one of the first custom rifles that Nosler started making before they really mainstreamed their rifle production. And it is a beautiful, beautiful rifle. I absolutely adore it. Very nice wood on it. Leupold custom shop scope on top of it. Just classy, classy setup. So I would love to find one of those as well. Very cool rifles. And as far as Wyoming being one of your favorite places on earth, I completely agree with that. I love that place. The people there are fantastic. The hunting there is great. Got a lot of friends in Wyoming, so anybody of those who's watching, thank you very much. We appreciate it, and you have a beautiful state. And then last but not least, any luck on finding a 280 Remington to review? Unfortunately, no, not at this time. I've got my hands on some really cool rifles, 7x57 Mauser, which is, I believe, an inner arms rifle. And I still haven't come across a 280 Remington yet, but I'm always looking. If we haven't covered it on the channel, it's on the list to be done. It's just a matter of time and budget to work it in. So thank you very much. And let's see here what else we got. This is from, oh my goodness, this is from a very old video we did back a long time ago, early on. A little bit embarrassing that we've come a long way since the beginning of this channel, but it's on the Colt Delta Elite in 10mm. And he says, the only video I could really find with the rail version. Found this gun while researching my first firearm in California. Just having recently turned 21, the Colt Delta Elite checked off all the boxes. But when I went to find it, I had found out it's banned here too for some reason. Anyways, once I leave the state, this will be my first pistol. And that is from Jared Gertz. I apologize if I butchered that name, but Jared, thanks for leaving a comment on that video. Yeah, we try to review interesting and unique guns, and that one was actually featured in an issue of Handloader magazine, and I do really like the Colt Delta Elite. I actually recently took that gun to a gun sight pistol class, and 10mm is a little bit excessive in some cases for self-defense, but I ran that gun there kind of for fun, and it performed very, very well. Very reliable, no issues with it, and yeah, it's just nice sights on it, Noveske, and it works very, very well. So that video was a little bit rough. I didn't work as well back then as the gun did, but it's a very cool gun, and not sure if that would be my first handgun choice, but I kind of understand. My first handgun was a M&P Shield after turning 21 in .45 auto as an everyday carry gun, and everybody told me that was too big too, so who am I to judge? Get a 9mm, people told me, but it is a fun gun to shoot. And then rolling right along, this is on our 6mm Remington favorite rifles and loads video. W. Peter Roberts 9624 says, fine video, thank you. Thank you for watching. We really do appreciate those. And even those short little comments like that, it helps us with the algorithm, helps get the word out there. We appreciate it. And one more. This is from John Ratcliffe. This is on our hand loading and testing the 22 ARC. I just stumbled onto your channel. Nobody can say you don't do an exhaustive study. Wow, thank you for sharing. Well, you're very welcome, John. We appreciate you watching and taking the time. These are long, drawn-out videos sometimes because there's so much information to talk about. And those of you who stick around to the end, leave comments, share the videos, like them. We really, really appreciate it. And that's all we ask in return for these kind of reviews. We present them unbiasedly and to the best of our abilities. So thank you. We wouldn't be able to do it if it wasn't for you guys taking the time out of your day to watch these things and continue your education and grow your knowledge. So we really appreciate that. And on that note, we're going to close it out. Thank you so much for watching this episode. We hope you like this comment review. If you do like this and you'd like to see this in future videos that we do, leave me a comment. Let me know, because we want your feedback as always. Many of these videos are viewer suggested, and you never know where we're going to go or never know what we might come across and be able to make a video subject. So leave those in the comments as always. Thank you so much, and I will catch you guys in the next episode.